Welcome back to the Pro Football Pod. We've got the Week 9 quarterbacks and wide receivers preview, giving you guys the information on who to start, who to sit, who looks good, and who doesn't.
That
Started
boy
off,
Dak looking
Good.
good.
A lot of
I was
people
about to
looking
say,
down.
Dak Prescott. A lot of,
Dakota.
start talking about someone looking good. Last couple weeks have been
Dakota.
very solid
Give,
for Dak.
give him his flowers. He's been looking solid. He's going up against a weak Eagles pass defense, rivalry game. Give me all of it. I absolutely am all in on Dak, which means this will probably be the week that he just shows you oh, this is Dak again. But I'm hoping not. And from what the last couple weeks have shown me, I don't expect any less. If Sam Howell can throw for almost 400 yards on the Eagles, why cannot? Why can't Dak?
This
Uh,
should be the NFC Championship.
Dak's played both of the LA teams over the past 3 weeks. He had a bye in between. Put up 272 yards and a touchdown versus the Chargers, and then 304 and four touchdowns versus the Rams. Four touchdowns. We all talk about Will
The
Levis
boy's
this
slinging
week.
it.
Nobody's talking about how Dak Prescott had four touchdowns on 300 yards with four rushes for 20 yards as well. I like it. I think Philly is going to play the Cowboys very hard because Philly does play the Cowboys really hard, but they have no secondary. They haven't had a secondary for years, and it's continuing to be a problem right now. I think that at this point, not just Dak, but would you guys even be willing to start a player like Brandon Cooks or Michael Gallup? Or are we
Brandon
going to
Cooks is
really?
interesting
I don't
because
know
he
if
can
I'm
take the top
desperate
off.
enough, but
Yeah,
Brandon Cooks would be my choice of the two.
yeah. There's someone to keep your eye on moving forward, especially when playoffs come around. Like he's a piece of an offense that's elite enough that you would want. So
We talked
someone to
on
hang around.
on the waiver wire episode about Jake Ferguson and about the value that he can add to this team, about how Dak likes to throw a lot to the tight end. Philly's been pretty weak against not just receivers but also tight ends, and Logan Thomas was able to have a solid game. I mean, he had a touchdown. He had over 50 yards. So I think that the big thing that we're looking at from Dak right now, a lot of people that have been dealing with Dak so far this year, they started in week 1 for the 6.3 game against the Giants. They started him against San Fran whenever he put up 7, and they've remembered those starts. They don't realize that on average this guy's putting up like 17 or 18 points a week even with those two horrible weeks. He's put up 20, 15, 14, 24, and 29 over the last two. It looks like their team's finally starting to turn it up. And throughout the rest of the season, they only have two more rough matchups, and the Giants and the Bills. So I think that even if somebody's holding on to Dak, right now is a pay high type of opportunity, but it might be worth getting a player like this because they have Miami for the last play of the season, and Miami's secondary has been giving up quite a bit to the quarterback so far this year.
That's on
That is
Christmas
true
Eve.
story.
That is on Christmas Eve,
Yeah, so that's gonna be an electric game.
very much so. If you paid attention to the waiver wire episode after we gave you the crispy little nugget of Will Levis, we told you guys that Gardner Minshew was worth picking up this week on the waiver wire, spending a ticket on it. And part of that has to do with his matchups for this week. But more than just this week, after he plays New England next week, he doesn't have another matchup that is a top 10 in their position against the quarterback position. And with the two weapons that he has available to him, with a running game that is getting its way going, and a defense that is not as good as they have been in the past, but they're at least formidable, I think that Gardner is at least minimum going to be in some garbage time. And at the best case scenario, he's throwing the ball 65 yards to Josh Dobbs and Michael Pittman, who are just open down the field all the time.
I like that.
See, I do agree with that as well. Like I said in the last episode, I love the gunslinger mentality. You're given a good schedule there for him as well, and he's got the weapons. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and his running game is looking really solid and formidable behind him right now. So as long as he can keep the turnovers down, I I love Gardner. Like just keep giving me the mullet and the cutoff jean shorts all day.
He's
I'm all
been
about it.
he's been playing some tough defenses, so
The
it's
last 2 weeks, he's had Cleveland and New Orleans, and he put up
yeah,
305,
toughest defenses.
305 with 4 total touchdowns against Cleveland, with 2 rushing and 2 passing, and then 213 with 2 passing touchdowns. Now he's thrown a pick, 4 picks in the last. I'm sorry, 5 picks in the last 3 games. 3 of them against Jacksonville. So it's
He's
not
a
like
gunslinger. He's just out there throwing it. I mean, it's like a roulette board. He's hitting and he's missing, but like he's hitting more than he's missing.
I
Literally.
agree. Carolina was a bit of a rough matchup for CJ Stroud. He didn't have a great game. It doesn't really mean much. He's still a rookie on an offense that's getting its footing. I think that Gardner's got a couple of veterans that are going to help make this a lot better. I think that Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss are still getting that 50-50 split, which is making it to where no one really knows whenever one's on the field what's happening. They're both receiving, they're both running. They have 2 running backs at equal share right now. Now, someone that I don't necessarily like this week because of matchup is Marquise Brown. They're playing Cleveland, and I think that that's going to be really, really rough for them. I don't think that as much as the Cardinals have been getting played and Marquise Brown gets so many targets that he's basically an every week start, I think that this is a week that I'm sitting him just because of the matchup alone. I think that on top of that, we heard news today that Josh Dobbs is not playing. He's getting sat, which it doesn't make any sense to me why they would sit him.
Well, the report that came out was after the game, they said, Josh is going to start next week. We're not worried.
Yep.
And then they watched the film and then they decided, no, he's not going to start. So did you watch the film and see, oh, there's like a lingering injury here that's affecting him? Or did you not watch any of the film for the first 7 weeks?
Exactly.
Because
It
I don't
looked
understand
basically
how
the same.
Exactly. I don't understand how watching the film after this game, it was like, oh, you know what? Yep, there it is. Yeah, it's just not going to work. Like,
He's
no,
been playing
fuck off with
solid.
that. This is Jonathan Gannon trying to do his whatever he's been doing of trying to toy with you. Oh, who's gonna start? Who's gonna start?
Like that's
Before
going to
the
win him some
season, he
football
refused-
games?
And now he's refusing to stay whether he's going to start Kyler Murray or the other quarterback on the depth chart or
Yeah.
some guy on the practice squad. And it's just like, bro, we know you're not starting Kyler versus Cleveland, so you can get out of here with that. That defense will just put him right back on the injury report.
It's going to be Josh. I mean, Josh used to play for the Browns. How are you not going to play him? It's a story. This is the NFL. They're all about story.
I don't know. It's stupid. But I mean, yeah, I agree. You absolutely sit Marquise Brown just because you don't know who's throwing him the ball. The matchup is terrible. So not doing that. On the flip side, and I know we don't like to really talk about the big stars in the league because you're always going to start them and everything like that. But just a game to look forward to is Tyreek versus Kansas City and Washington. Tyreek anytime touchdown is a great bet. Tyreek over whatever his yardage line is a great bet. Unless they set it at 150, and even then I still might throw money on it.
Literally, literally. I think
it's
that
the best bet.
It's the motivation factor, right? Tyreek is more motivated to do well this week than he probably ever has been. And not that to say that he's not motivated week in, week out, but this is playing against his old team. They get to do it in Germany, and they're showing up tomorrow. The Dolphins will be in Germany. I think it might have been today that they traveled today.
They boarded the plane today.
So that on their off day tomorrow, they can go and see the sights and enjoy Germany and get acclimated to the climate. And yeah, man, they're going to have a great time. The Dolphins are doing so well, and they're playing against, I don't see who else they would rather play right now than the Chiefs. Like, they've got Ramsey back. We're getting
Well,
Connor Williams back. There's a lot of things happening.
After the Bills game and after the Eagles game, like, this is really the last game on the schedule until you get to Dallas
Yep.
as far as a statement game. Like,
Mhm.
this game, everybody's been saying to this point, oh, they'll smash teams that they're expected to beat, but they won't beat these teams that, might give them a little bit of a test, which for me, on the flip side of it, the teams that the Dolphins have smashed have also beat those other teams. Like, the
That doesn't
Patriots
matter,
beat
though.
the Bills. The Giants took the Bills to the wire. Like, so that's neither here nor there. But the Dolphins have a great fan base in Germany as well. So I expect to see a lot of Dolphins jerseys in the stands and the Dolphins fans actually showing out in Germany for the most part. So for me, I'll gladly, even if I wasn't a Dolphins or a Chiefs fan, this is one to where, thank you. You gave us a good matchup for a 9:30 a.m. Eastern time start time, like 6:30 a.m. Eastern time Pacific time. Like, you gave us a good matchup to wake up for.
Let's just hope Patrick Mahomes
Finally.
is getting over
Now-
his sickness.
Monday or Sunday night football in Kansas City or in Miami would have been in Kansas City would have been the optimal one.
Yeah.
Just to be able to go into their house and get it done with the Red Sea, but we'll take what we can get. We'll wake up Sunday morning, drink our coffee, and watch some football.
For those of you still listening, 12 minutes into this episode, we appreciate that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for our streaming quarterback of the week. So I think Sam Howell is an easy decision. Look at the week that he had this past week. He is playing against New England, and New England has had a solid defense. Not an unstoppable defense, but a solid one. I think that they've lost some pieces over the past, 5 or 6 weeks that are hurting them a little bit, and that Sam should be able to step it up. I think another easy one is someone we already talked about, Will Levis. Will Levis is playing Pittsburgh this week. So obviously you're going to have to waiver wire him. He's not just going to be sitting there available. But between those two, what are you guys thinking?
I've been tooting the Sam Howell train all year.
So you'll take Sam Howell at New England over Will Levis at Pittsburgh? Both of them are away games. Both of them are young quarterbacks playing against tough defenses. It's not an easy decision.
Will's on a short week compared
This
to Sam.
Yeah,
That's
this
true.
week,
It's a Thursday.
Will's on a short week, and also,
But he's probably going to be playing against not Kenny Pickett. So has
We don't like players on Thursday nights. We know that prime times kill the fantasy
yes,
value.
he's a rookie, and so he'll get the week to be able to, prepare as the starter. But it's the shortest week he has to prepare for as the starter. So I mean, I expect he shows some plays and stuff. Like, I don't know if completely last week was a fluke, but also, I mean, if I'm picking between the two, yeah, I'll rather have Sam Howell because he's shown it to me multiple times this season.
So a different caliber quarterback, but probably two guys that are still available right now today in most leagues. Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield. Derek Carr's got Chicago in New Orleans, and then Baker Mayfield has Houston in Houston. Is there one of those that you guys would prefer over Sam Howell at New England?
Probably Baker.
I think Baker's been more consistent.
Yep.
Derek Carr has a little bit more boomer bust versus Chicago. Chicago's not shown up for games, and then they've played solid against other teams. It's not a divisional game, so that helps them. But I think that even in Houston, I'd rather have Baker and his set of weapons than Derek Carr and his set of weapons.
Well, with saying that, though, just on a absolute side note, after what Eckler just did to the Bears, slam every single Alvin Kamara receiving prop, every one of them.
Yes,
Whoa.
yes.
He didn't hit his receptions last week, so I will say
He had 7. He had
Eckler?
7 receptions. Eckler did.
Yeah.
No, Kamara.
Had 13 receptions last week.
Nah,
Maybe
that
maybe it was the
last
week before.
Yeah,
Maybe it
that
was the
a
week
few
before.
weeks ago. That
Kamara
wasn't
last week did not
but-
his receptions this past week.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
But-
so Baker.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for stopping in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go to Tulsi Rose Tea at tulsirosetea.com for all of your tea needs. And we'll see you later this week for the running back and tight end week 9 preview. Peace.
Preview.
Doses.